Hey y'all, Bonnie here, and today I want to talk to you about recycling. But first, I want to add that there's a reason that recycling is the third R, you know, the reduce, reuse, recycle that we've heard since elementary school. Have you ever really stopped to think about that phrase? So let's take it piece by piece. First, reducing your amount of waste is incredibly important. The average American creates 4 pounds of trash a day. 4 pounds of trash? It's like a small dog. So you can stop the amount of waste that enters your life by making smarter consumer decisions. Second, you can reuse things. If you just get creative, you can find tons of ways to reuse items that would typically be thrown away. And third is recycling. And recycling is a great last-ditch effort, but really it's a very expensive process and not always done properly. And a lot of that is due to government policies. The United States, we used to ship our recycling over to China, but they don't really want our trash anymore, surprise, surprise. So something that we as the United States need to deal with, and some of that is beyond our control, but there's so much that you can do in your own home to properly recycle items, and I'm gonna show you this now, so let's get to it. So I have 3 easy tips on how to properly recycle in your own home. The first is to check with your local recycling guidelines. I live in Guilford County, North Carolina, and we have a curbside recycling, and you can easily go on their website and check out what items specifically are able to be recycled, because that does vary facility to facility. So first, familiarize yourself with what is recyclable at your local recycling facility. Most places always take number 1 plastic water bottles, soda bottles, all those. Number 1 PET bottles is what these are, and they're often always recycled, but you need to make sure that you rinse them out and clean them, and that goes for most everything you're recycling. Anything with a food residue is gonna dirty up the material, so always make sure that you rinse and clean off any food residue from anything you're recycling. And tip number 2 is to use a paper bag to recycle. So, for example, this is a lot better than using a plastic bag. We used to do that, and when I was growing up, we would have a container plastic bag, tie it up, take it out to the bin. But I've recently found out that when you do that, it doesn't always get recycled, because the people who are sorting through the items see a bag coming along, they don't know what's in that bag, and maybe it's a bag of poopy diapers that dirties up their entire line. So often when they come across bagged recycling, it just gets chucked to the trash, which is super upsetting because we did that for years and none of it gets recycled. And you can just throw this whole thing in the bin because the paper is recyclable. And that brings me to my 3rd tip, which is all about plastic film. So plastic film is basically just this thin material that's in plastic grocery bags. You know how when you go to the store they ask you paper or plastic? This gives you a reason to opt for paper instead of plastic, because these plastic is not recyclable. Most facilities, I mean, there may be a few exceptions to that, but most facilities don't accept this type of plastic because it's so thin, it can jam their machines and screw up their whole process. However, there are certain places where you can drop this plastic film off and it gets recycled properly. And you can find those places online at www.plasticfilmrecycling.org. I highly urge you to check it out. And then just keep a bag of bags is basically what I have here. And I'm gonna take that, the closest one to me is just up at my Harris Teeter. And so I can take that up there and it gets properly recycled. So that's my top 3 tips. First is to check with your local guidelines on recycling about what specifically can be recycled. Second is to do so in a brown paper bag because you can easily ditch it, and this gives you an excuse to opt for paper over plastic. And the 3rd tip is to take your plastic film to a proper recycling facility so that it can get recycled. I can't stress that last point about plastic film enough. Film is very thin and can be easily picked up by the wind, carried out of a landfill and into the environment, which is problematic because sea turtles think that plastic bags look like jellyfish, whales have been shown to consume them, all sorts of marine life can be harmed by them, as well as other terrestrial life. There's examples of cows eating plastic bags, and it's really just unnecessary. So please ask for paper instead of plastic. When you go to the store, if you do get plastic, be sure to take it to the correct recycling facilities. So that's all my tips. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe below for more tips on how to be more eco-friendly in your daily life and home. Bye!